this is an annual report that comes out in which the U.S. takes a critical view of all of the countries in the world. So, you know, this is not a first-time report, so you have the benefit of going back and looking at a series of reports over a period of time and see what the assessments are. And I mean, countries like Taiwan and England and Canada are also on the report with regards to concerns for money laundering and drug trafficking. So the intent of the report is to take a critical view of each country and determine what those weaknesses are, and particularly to make sure that the countries that the U.S. is giving aid to are in conformity with some of the same principles that the U.S. government are holding in high regard. So when you look at the report, what they've said about St. Lucia is very little different than what they've said about any of the other OECS countries, and in fact many of the other Caribbean countries. As it pertains to CIP, the U.S. continues to say what they've always been saying, that they have concerns with regards to the CIP. They want to ensure that the CIP is away from politicians. I think that the U.S. and Canada and the U.K. would actually prefer if the CIP program was run out of the OECS Secretariat and that it was a regional project rather than an individual national project. But given that I need the cooperation of all the other heads to be able to achieve that, in the meanwhile, we continue to do things to distance my office from CIP. So for instance, I've indicated that when individuals who are rejected by the CIP board, they have a process of appeal, which was in the regulations. And that process of appeal is through the minister responsible for the CIP. So that minister happens to be me. And what I have done is I've put together an independent three-man panel of individuals who know how to do due diligence and who are not directly or indirectly associated to the CIP program, in order to give them the autonomy to review case by case any of those appeals. And so I have not participated in any of the appeals. I have gone on the advice always as to what the panel has recommended. But I believe that there's still more that we can do in terms of changing our regulations and possibly even changing some things in the Act to further distance the politicians and the ability of any politician, particularly a minister, from influencing the CIP program. So I want to say that I support the comments. We will continue to work to endeavor to make sure that everybody has confidence in this program. And the last piece I want to say is I've heard members on the opposite side suggest that our CIP program is at the bottom of the barrel, or the bottom of the list, or bottom in the Caribbean, because we lowered the prices. The fact is that we had a target of $44 million to be able to earn, and we've done that. In fact, we are about $1 or $2 million above that amount. The monies are in the process of being transferred over to the Ministry of Finance. So I'm satisfied that we're on target. And I think that if you look at the numbers of some of the other islands, that number that we achieved is more or less where most of the people are. But I indicated that St. Kitts, which has been in this business for over 20 years, and Dominica, that were at 100,000, have been getting a significant number. And so therefore, the price matters. And we've seen that all of the countries have lowered their prices. I'm hoping that there's a proposed meeting in May that is being called for by the Prime Minister of St. Kitts to look at the CIP, that we can finally agree on some common positions moving forward. Price being possibly one of them, although there seems to be some reluctance by some of the Prime Ministers to go that far. But at minimum, the standards of approval, that they should be common. And there are a lot of things that we're already doing in sharing information in that regard. But I look at the report by the U.S. As a report that's intended to be critical. I don't think that there's anything in the report that solutions should be alarmed at. There's no major significant changes in their position. And I think some of the things they point out, that we need to improve the training of policemen in terms of being able to detect money laundering and drug trafficking. I don't think anybody can argue with that, but those are the same comments they're making about all the other countries. So it can't be taken in context that the U.S. specifically wrote a report on St. Lucia. This is an annual report and that takes a global view of the world and provides a specific report, a critical report on every single country in the world.